One of the first things me and my fiance noticed when we bought our 8 acres here in southern Ohio was the abundance of maple trees across our property. We had a variety of maple trees, including silver, red, and sugar maples. We made it a goal to make maple syrup by spring, and that's exactly what we did. This was definitely not an easy process, though. It took a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and some big decision making. Even though a sugar shack isn't entirely necessary in making maple syrup, we knew that we wanted one. And we knew that we wanted it in the sugar bush, away from the house, deep in the woods, so we can reconnect with nature. Just like with any other hobby I've gotten into, I began YouTubing and Googling different ways to make maple syrup. And let me tell you something, this was so stressful because it's really not a black and white process. There's so many different ways to make this product. There's different ways to build boilers, different styles of sugar shacks, and so much information out there. I finally talked to a local maple syrup producer about the process, and he really put my mind at ease. He made me realize that it's really not rocket science and not as complicated as the internet makes it out to be. In reality, you need buckets to gather sap with, you need a shelter of some sort, you need a controlled hot fire, and sap to boil down into syrup. And that's really it. And I would argue that you can't truly understand the process until you get out there and do it yourself, which requires you gathering the sap, storing the sap, keeping it fresh, starting your first fire in the morning, watching the first boil, observing the sap boil down throughout the day, taking samples, and taking the final product into the kitchen to make maple syrup. So I hope you learned a thing or two from this video of us building our sugar shack and making maple syrup for the very first time. We recently built a pole barn on our property, and we had a ton of leftover lumber from that project. So I made it a goal to use some of these trees to build our sugar shack. I bought a draw knife on Amazon and began to strip down the trees and prep them to be burned. This took a lot of time. Once again, the season made it super challenging. It was so cold out, so snowy and wet. I picked a location for the sugar shack and dug 4 holes and began dragging this lumber back to this location. And this was probably one of the most physically challenging things I've ever done. These were huge pieces of lumber here. They were green, full of water, and just so heavy. Alrighty, so the hill by the house is like way too ghetto. So I'm gonna try to drag these big old trees over here by hand and see how that goes. The remaining part of the trail here, as you can see, is completely fine. It's just this really steep hill that's scaring me. The tractor's tipping left and right, and I just don't like it. So all the lumber is finally back here, and this took like 4 hours for me to do, and it's only a few very large pieces of lumber here, but it was just very tedious going down those hills with the ice and the snow, and I had to take it really slow and really steady. But now that they're all back in the sugar shack site, they're gonna start going in the ground, and I am so excited about that. Alrighty, so I just ran into town and got some stuff here. I have some Quickcrete here that I'm gonna put just right into the holes and just pat it down with dirt. I have this blend right here. This is diesel and used tractor oil. And I'm gonna put it on the poles really quickly, and this will just help preserve them and make them last even longer. Doesn't really smell like anything, which is good. And as you can see, these logs are already burnt. Burning them helps preserve the wood. It makes it more waterproof and rot resistant. Now I can smell it a little bit. It's strong. Whoa. Oh, yeah, that's strong. I thought about doing like tar. Some people put tar at the base of these, but tar is kind of expensive. So I'm gonna wash these. Oh. Just slapping it on. It's just dripping. And I don't really care anymore. Just know it's gonna preserve my wood, and that's all I care about. These were definitely a little sketchy to put into the ground. They're just huge, super tall, super heavy, like I said. But we figured it out, got them in the ground, and used some Quikrete and dirt and leveled them out. It's definitely not perfectly square. No. But it's not supposed to be. It's not that bad, though, if you really look at it. The next step was to hang the supporting beams up on the poles, and I did this by myself on a Saturday. It was a little sketchy, but the tractor really helped with this process. Alrighty, so I got both the side beams going up here. They're pretty much level. I mean, these are like trees we got out of our backyard, so they're not gonna be perfectly level. But now my plan is to put some beams going across here, or I guess the width of the structure here. Couldn't do any of this without our tractor. It really looks like a little stick in this video, but this is maple. It is so tough to cut. Like, maple is solid. Every time I lift a tree up here, I just secure it with this little chain system I have going on, and it seems to work pretty well. I'm sitting in the rafters of my sugar shack. There's been a lot of stuff going on in my life here recently that has been hurtful and really challenging. And having this available to me is therapy. It really is. I'm having a blast putting these beams up here. And once I'm done, I think I'm gonna go to Menards and get some lumber for the roof. Alrighty, all 5 supporting beams are up in the ceiling, and I'm gonna take a break. Alrighty, so I just got back from lunch, and I brought this propane torch out here, and I'm gonna do a little process called wood charring. And I've already done it to some of the posts here. And basically, wood charring is like a very old way of preserving wood. And it basically, you char the outside of the wood here, and prevents it from rot, insects, even makes it fire resistant and water repellent as well. So there's a few beams up here that have not been touched yet, so I'm gonna do that right now. The next step was building the roof and getting the siding ready. And we really just worked on this when we could. Saturday evenings, sometimes on random weeknights, we would just get out there and do what we could with the limited amount of time that we had. So this dead tree here is going to work really well for the siding on the sugar shack. I was thinking I had to do green trees because they were less rotted and stuff, but these are actually pretty easy to prep, and I'm thinking they're going to be easy to treat as well. So an Amish canning company up the road from us was selling these 55-gallon drums for only $10 a piece. They stored vinegar and were super clean and food grade, so we picked up 4 of them. We then got hit with some pretty severe weather. There was like 10 days in a row where the temperature didn't get above 10 degrees. We had so much snow, and the Sugar Shack project came to a halt. Alright, just a casual little update here. As you can see, the roof is pretty much done. We just have these center pieces to put up. And I kind of came back here during the snowstorm because I wanted to see how much like snow and weather got in here. And as you can see, it's definitely snowing within the building. So I think siding is going to be important. And I have a couple ideas in mind as to how I'm going to frame this in and keep it safe from the elements. But yeah, we're getting all kinds of snow this week, and it's just been beautiful. And this Sugar Shack is everything I could have ever dreamed of. It's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So we're just having so much fun with it. It's work. It is a lot of hard work, but I just know the outcome is going to be worth it. Our process for making siding for the Sugar Shack was pretty simple. We gathered a bunch of trees, purchased a maul and some wedges, and split a lot of lumber. Baby, come on. Here it goes. Here it goes. Holy smokes. I just went to Walmart and I called earlier and I said, hey, do y'all have food grade buckets? I saw somewhere online where you can buy icing buckets for like $1, or sometimes they give them away. So I called our local Walmart and asked, hey, do y'all have buckets? And they said, yeah, we got a couple, come on in. This is what I ended up with. $1 a piece. I got like 48 buckets or something like that. Insane. I'm completely ecstatic right now. Whew. Ooh, I need to bring it out. Well, I am so excited, so grateful for this right now. This is amazing. Food grade buckets. I got like 2-gallon buckets right here, and then 5-gallon buckets as well. I need to clean them out, obviously. I think they already cleaned them, but I can still smell the icing. So I'm gonna get some bleach and maybe some baking soda. So these buckets really smelled like icing. It was super strong. So what I did was purchase a lot of baking soda. I think I got like 5 boxes of it, and then made a baking soda, water, and a little bit of bleach type scrub. And I put a coat of this on all the buckets and let them sit for a day or two. And this really absorbed that icing smell and also cleaned the buckets out too. I also did the same process with those 55-gallon drums that once stored vinegar, and this was a little bit more challenging. It took a couple layers of baking soda and bleach to remove the vinegar smell, but it eventually still worked. So I can already tell the smell is starting to be absorbed by this baking soda. This one though, as you can see, there's more liquid down there at the bottom, and I think that's more vinegar. If I smell it, it still smells like a pickle. So I'll probably do a couple rounds of this, but it's working, and that's always good news. So after a very thorough rinse, I set all the buckets out in the sun for as long as I could because sun exposure can also help eliminate scents. So the next step was to build a boiler, and there's many different ways that you can make a boiler, but we chose a 55-gallon drum. We had a neighbor with a bunch of drums sitting outside, and we got one off him. And my fiance thankfully went to welding school, and he made all the cuts for the stove. We also got a barrel stove kit off Amazon, and it was pretty easy to install, and it worked super well for our boiler. So the stove kit came with a cast iron door. It came with 2 legs, a vent for the stove piping, and some screws. There's a couple times it was a little tedious to get the screws in, but we figured it out, and the product was definitely super sturdy and would definitely hold a heavy pan of boiling sap. Now this barrel stored some sort of oil in it, and so we did multiple seasoning fires to make sure all that was burnt out of the barrel. So it is February 10th, and it is about 45 degrees outside, super warm, and so I think I'm gonna tap my first batch of maple trees. Never done this before, so excited. So we're tapping about 3 feet up the trunk of the tree. We got our tap at a slight angle. We got our 5/16 tubing going down into our, frosting bucket. And then we're gonna get some lids out here in a minute. And we're just doing a small batch of trees here in the front yard to start off the season. And this is pretty much how it's gonna look. Tap, tube, and bucket. This is the first sap I've seen this year. It's out of this huge silver maple right here. It's about like 5 p.m. and look at that. That's exciting. All right, it's been about 1 day. I'm gonna check on this bucket. It feels pretty heavy, actually. Whoa, look at all that. And it's still dripping. Holy smokes. So I already did a baking soda scrub on these guys here. I have them curing out in the sun. And I'm about to do a little power wash on all of them just to ensure there's nothing left, no vinegar, no baking soda, or any scents like that. So the goal is to start using them today to store the sap in. So all right, my remaining buckets are power washed. They're sunbathing right now. And I got them on this tarp, actually, that's eventually gonna go in the sugar shack. I think we have enough stovepipe for my boiler. What do y'all think? Alrighty, so this is how we're gonna keep our sap cool and hopefully below 38 degrees here. We got several loads of snow here and really packed it down around the drums. And then Zach said, why not put some straw on top of the snow to help insulate it and prevent it from melting? I think it's gonna work pretty well. But yeah, the goal is also to put some sap cubes in here that I currently have in the freezer, probably daily, just to keep that temperature down, because apparently sap can spoil like milk if you don't keep it cool. So I think this is gonna work really well. What are you doing?
Well, somebody's clearly hungry, so I'm starting the smoker so I can put some sugar water on it.
Look at her. Oh my gosh. What is that, like 4 gallons of sap right there? Wow. So I would normally gather my sap in the evening when I got home at work. And at this point in February, it was like 5:30, 6 p.m. So it was dark out. Now I would just take a headlamp back into the woods and gather sap. And this was a great way to get my steps in and burn some calories. We ended up buying our stovepipe from Tractor Supply, and I think we got about 10 or 12 feet of this stuff, and it was pretty easy and simple to install. Alrighty, so like you've already seen, the front yard is pretty much tapped for the most part. I'm gonna take all these buckets back into the woods and tap the trees around the sugar shack. And I have so much work to do today. Gotta hang up tarps, gotta finish the stovepipe for the boiler. But yeah, I'll take you guys along. Second tap of the day, and we are flowing. This is all sap, and I just tapped this a couple minutes ago. So I'm just walking around right now with this bag of lids, screwdriver, spare batteries, and my coffee, and I'm just putting lids on all the buckets to keep the breeze out. All right, all the trees in the surrounding area are tapped, lids on, flowing, and I got more work to do. Okay, I know this is not supposed to be stressful, but I am stressed. Like, I want to boil sap this weekend. And there are so many things I'm doing right now. I'm not vlogging because I'm just trying to get it done. I got my tarps out here that I still need to hang up. I just spray painted the boiler with high heat spray paint. I gotta make a platform here for the boiler with these cylinder blocks and level it out. I gotta screw the stovepipe together. Yeah, I'm just overwhelmed. Trying not to freak out right now. Alrighty, so I just walked these 8 cylinder blocks back here through the mud, the hills, and I am dripping with sweat in the middle of February. I spray painted the boiler, and it is pretty level actually. It's drying here, and I got the stovepipe up as well, so I'll screw it together. It's not perfect, as you can see. It's kind of wonky, but this is a sugar shack, emphasis on the shack, and it's not supposed to be perfect. So now my goal is to put some sand in here to act as kind of like a fire brick and a heat barrier to protect both the metal and allow the heat to rise. So I'm gonna do that now. Cheap fire brick for you. Alrighty, so this is my temporary setup right now. Well, actually, it's not exactly temporary. This is probably how I'm gonna do it, but I guess I don't know. I've never boiled syrup before, so this is it for now. Got my little meat thermometer here, and it looks like my temperature is staying at around 32 degrees, which is good. So cubes are working really well. First boil is going to be this weekend. I'm so excited. Alrighty, it is Saturday morning and we're doing our first batch of maple syrup. So step 1 is going to be starting the fire. I got some other equipment back here as well, but we're going to use some of the wood we just split last night and get this thing started. So there's almost 55 gallons in this drum here. Our plan right now is to put it all in the TSC 5-gallon buckets and drive it all the way back to the sugar shack and just multiple loads throughout the day. Like I said earlier, our trails are really muddy, so we'll see how that goes. once we got our first load of sap back to the sugar shack, we gave it a quick filter and immediately put it on the boiler. Go. We have our first 5 gallons on the boiler. That is awesome. Alrighty, so as you can see, the sap is already starting to get really warm. Zach ran back up to the house to get a candy thermometer so we can kind of monitor the temperature of the sap. But yeah, the feeder pan is still kind of cold, but this is already bubbling, it's steaming. So cool. All right, so right now our temperature is 208, and at 212 it's boiling, right? Allegedly. And then we're gonna go 7 degrees above that. All right, so here's what we've changed. We are constantly feeding this fire. We got it a lot hotter than at the start of the day. And we're just feeding this main boiling pan. We have the feeder pan closer to the boil. It's warming up quicker, and we're just keeping everything flowing. It seems to be working pretty well. It's quite the poker stick you got there. So as you can see, we are not very patient people, and we want to get this process done. So we brought a turkey boiler out here, and we're going to do separate little mini batches to add to the main one here to hopefully speed everything up. Alrighty, so the feeder pan is the same temperature as the main pan here. So we are going to very slowly combine pans here. All right, and now we're adding the turkey boiler pan to the feeding pan. Be careful, babe. You all right?
Yeah.
Take a break. Sheesh. So it's almost 4 o'clock and we ran out of propane. So Zach went to town to get some really quick and he's grabbing a pizza. But this is a lot of work. I'm getting very tired. We are learning that the size of your pieces of wood are everything. Smaller, skinnier, the hotter it burns. What you got there? Pizza? No. It is 7:43. We've been at this for almost 12 hours. Yeah. It's been a long time, but as you can see, we have a totally different color here, consistency, and it smells so good. And it also tastes like a vanilla, marshmallowy, very sweet goodness. It's amazing. Temperature is actually rising pretty quickly all of a sudden. It is so scary spending like 12 hours on this stuff and not knowing what you're doing and if you're gonna ruin it or not. That's scary. It's snowing. So pretty. All right, so we just took the boiler off. It burns like immediately. Fire's still going, and here we have our sap. It got to 214. That's not a lot of it. It's It's about a gallon. We're gonna put the lid on here and go in the house. So this last step kind of confused me. I didn't understand why you couldn't just finish the syrup on the fire, but then I realized that you have to get your almost syrup to a very specific temperature. And if you don't, you can burn it and ruin your entire batch. So a stove is more controlled and you can get it to that exact temperature. All right, this is our current setup here. We have the sap boiling in the large turkey pan. We have this felt filter that I kind of have folded down. And then I also have another maple syrup filter pinned in here as well. I got this Dutch oven ready to go, hot mitts to pull the sap off with, and I have these jars drying right here. Not sure if we're gonna get this much, but they're here just in case. At this point, our kitchen got super steamy and it smelled very, very sweet. All right, so we're getting closer. And as you can see, the bubbles are getting smaller. And there's like an oily kind of film on the top of the syrup, which is also an indicator that it's getting close to being done. Oh, 214. Super close to our syrup point here. Bubbles are tiny, lots of foam. There you have it, syrup. That's actually perfect, isn't it?
Oh, sweet.
Excuse me.
We'll take this out.
64 ounces of syrup. We're gonna tilt it on the side so that lid can seal. Look at that. That is beautiful. So it took us about 50 gallons of sap to make about 96 ounces of maple syrup. 1 week later, we did a second boil, and we changed up a couple things to make the process a little easier. I walked away for like 5 minutes, tied these tubes up, and they're dripping. Oh my gosh. This is by far the most sap I've gotten in one day. This is a 55-gallon drum, and as you can see, I'm not too shy of that 50-gallon mark. That's crazy. We had like 5 days in a row to where the temperature was below 32 degrees at night and above 40 throughout the day, and we just had the craziest sap flows. We got like 55 gallons a day, and we ended up having to throw a lot of it out. At one point, my fiance was sick of gathering the sap by hand, so he came up with this genius idea of strapping one of the barrels to the tractor, and we gathered the sap with the tractor bucket. It worked so well. For the second boil, we didn't hold back on starting off the day with a ton of sap and getting it to that boil very quickly. We got a beautiful boil going, and it's only like 8 in the morning. All right, this is the latest addition to the Sugar Shack here. It's like a kindling splitter, and as you can see, it's super easy, super convenient, and this is the type of wood we've discovered creates the best fire and keeps that sap boiling, so we love it. Mom on foam duty here. You having fun?
Yes, I love it.
It is only 2 p.m. and we already have that beautiful blonde looking color there. We have a brand new process that is a lot better. It's moving things along quicker. We're taking sap out of the drum here, moving it over here to this little stump, and then feeding it into this turkey fryer. The turkey fryer is steaming, boiling down the sap. We'll take this pan here, scoop out some sap, and then pour it in the main boiler here. And like I said, things are just moving quicker, and look at that beautiful not seen that before. That is fire coming out of the chimney. We think it's gonna be okay, but it looks really sketchy. Gee. That red you see, that is the stovepipe. It is that hot. Holy smokes. This is only my second boil, so I'm definitely not an expert, but I'm realizing that when we get closer to that syrup point, we get these little snaky foam strands that just kind of make their way across the pan. Fun fact, syrup gets darker later in the season primarily due to rising temperatures, which increase microbial activity in the sap and cause chemical changes in the tree as it prepares for budding. All right, this is our first batch of syrup here. As you can see, it's lighter, and this is the batch we just did, only like 1 week later. And look at that color difference. Just 1 week makes that much difference. And that pretty much sums up this mini documentary of our first year of making maple syrup. Hope you guys learned something from it. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video.